In this episode of the RV Small Talk podcast, we're going to tackle some of the most important questions in life. And those are, of course, the questions kids ask when you're traveling and camping together, because they inspire quippy responses and deep thought. So, in this episode, 10 questions, at least, that kids may ask while camping. Welcome to the RV Small Talk podcast, where we talk about lightweight trailers, truck campers, the people, places, and adventures that go right along with them. We are your hosts from Princess Craft RV. I'm Clint.
I'm PJ.
And I am terrified about exposing what kind of mom I am in this episode.
We will hold your hand.
Y'all are going to be like, dang, she's mean.
We will hold your hand through this.
Or maybe we'll say, dang, she's smart. She's got this. What a brilliant idea. I could say that.
Our kids are going to listen to this episode and be like, well, at least someone gets their hand held through these things. Do we even bring up the one that everyone thinks of? Do we even say, are we there yet?
Yes, that's the best one.
So go ahead and jump
But
into
you're not
it.
saying it right. You need to say, oh, are we there yet?
Oh,
Man,
Right?
my kids would have one chance at saying it like that. And they have not tested me on that one yet.
your kids have never whined at you. Are we there
Not
yet?
that sound.
Oh, yeah. Not as good as me.
That sound might require other forms of counseling.
So did you have any like funny or like go-to responses when we did that as kids? Are we there yet?
No.
I don't remember. So
No, I don't remember. I remember I was, which is a lot of our answers, but I was kind of the queen of distraction.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say distract.
So I always said, well, we're not to the campground yet or wherever it was we were going, but we are passing a red light, green light convenience store.
Right.
Well, what's that?
yeah.
Well, it's, I don't know. And then we would play games or sing songs for a little while. You know, distractions are great for kids, but this is always the toughest question
Wait,
because they get so impatient.
distractions are great for distractions?
Distractions
is this
are great
some sort
for
of
the
Inception sort of thing?
Are we there yet?
I'm sorry I didn't hear you. I was distracted.
Yeah.
And you know, when you're camping with kids, the "Are we there yet?" goes right along with "I'm hungry. I have to go to the bathroom. She's touching me.
Yeah.
She hit me." I said, I mean,
Yeah.
it's all just that. I mean,
It's just boredom or discomfort somehow.
exactly. And "Are we there yet?" just is expressing that. Oh my gosh, this is miserable. I don't want to be here anymore. Are we there yet?
This is something I've been trying to speak to my kids about pretty often, is the value of boredom. And in human existence, we've never had so much ability to not be bored, which we think is wonderful because we're entertained or informed at all times.
Being
Right.
bored is good for your brain.
Yeah, exactly that. Being bored is what really is a fertile ground for us to think through our lives, to be introspective, to solve our problems or the world's problems, because that's where so many major like Nobel Prize level thinking moments happen.
guess.
But when my kids say I'm bored and then I say, well, congratulations, that's really good for you,
Yeah.
that makes them really mad. I'm so proud of you for being bored. Good job.
Yeah.
They don't like that.
Yeah.
But are we there yet? My go-to answer is, if you go to sleep,
I try that one. Yeah,
then we'll be there when you wake up.
I do try that one.
Sometimes it works because it's like, are we there yet? Is the verge of being like so bored or so like impatient because you're just tired. I mean,
Yeah.
kids are tired and they don't go to sleep. They fight it. But if you convince them that if you just go to sleep, then we'll be there.
Yeah.
And it's like magic. Then you're a magician.
Yeah.
Go to sleep.
I certainly try to get into teach them how to daydream sometimes, because that was my favorite thing, is to find that on road trips when I was a kid, I'd been staring out the window, just soaking in the world and lost my thoughts for forever. And if I can teach my kids how to daydream, and that means just the whole car trying to daydream at the same time, daydreaming for me is so close to falling asleep.
My sister.
Like that's how I fall asleep. I like tell myself, what am I going to daydream about? And then eventually I'm snoring. much to everyone's chagrin when I'm in the driver's seat. But
Yeah. Well, I applaud you for doing that. I think I occasionally can do that, but for the most part, my brain goes wherever it's easiest or fastest.
You're not
That's
in
just
control
how
of your
it
brain?
works. Most of the time, no. So remember all those sleepless
oh
nights?
no,
But
I have traveled with you, and
I know.
I've learned not to sit next to you because I can sleep on a plane and you cannot.
Well, but I think with kids, when they say, "Are we there yet?" they're anxious, they're uncomfortable, they're unhappy, and by just saying, "Oh, well, it's okay to be bored," you kind of have to flip it and move them out of that uncomfortable zone to something that's comfortable. And they need a redirect on their brain to something, anything, anything. It could be oh, no, we're not, but why don't we listen to this audiobook or something?
So you don't say you just need to redirect. Here's some redirect cough syrup.
Try this. Oh, yeah. Benadryl is definitely your friend when kids are really
Folks,
out of it.
Don't do this. Don't
Well,
do
and-
that. That was a joke.
And the anticipation,
Right.
the anticipation of getting there. Like, are we there? Like,
So
they're
that's
anticipating the fun part, which is being there. So you can talk about like, we're not there yet, but when we get there, what's the first thing you're going to do?
So,
What are you most excited about? Or did you know
That's a great
that we're going to go see this?
we're not there
That
yet,
is a
but
great
we are
idea.
here now. What do you see?
Be here now, kid.
Yeah, be present or be asleep.
sit there and be uncomfortable. It's okay.
Yeah.
No, good idea, Lindsay. Yeah. Talk about the camping trip, what you're going to do. So redirect on that because, yeah, there are times when I wish I could complain to someone too.
Now the next one I relate to with my kid because I have a little anxious one. So the question, what if it rains?
What if?
So I have an anxious child who wants to know what if and the plan, which is something that I, even as an adult, probably need to work on that because I don't have a plan for anything. I'm just like, whatever, here, there, what if it rains? I don't know. We'll figure it out. But raising an anxious kid, I have to be aware, like when he says, what if it rains? I can't say, we'll get wet because that would be my normal answer. But when a kid asks that question, sometimes it's, I am fearful that something is going to happen. And
So do you
I
start
need
with-
reassurance that it's going to be okay if it rains.
Do you start with a probing question, like answer his question with a question so you get more details on what is his actual thinking behind
That's exactly what I do.
Yeah.
Say, what if it rains? What do you think we should do? What are you worried about? But what if it rains? What if it snows? What if a bear attacks us? These are questions that kids ask, not because they, have nothing better to do, but they're asking because once that thought enters your head as a kid and you don't have a plan, I feel like that'd be pretty, scary.
And frankly, a lot of camping still isn't in the RV sphere. A lot of people that our kids are talking to in the camping world, they're still tenting with their families, and all families have stories, if they've done it many times, of it rained and we were in a tent.
Yeah, I mean,
we got wet.
don't you think we put some of this fear in our kids when we're like, you better, carry this, you better have your coat on because it might rain.
Oh, yeah.
Well, if it rains, be sure you go inside or, oh my goodness, are you wet? Well, hurry, let's take those clothes off, get those shoes off.
I try to
And when
avoid
you're-
those angles. I try to say, you better not track that mud inside, but have fun.
There's that. But when you're
How do I avoid
camping,
that?
we're like, oh, it doesn't matter if you get wet. Oh, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Go have fun. Well, of course you get dirty. We've kind of trained them into being afraid of rain, getting wet, being out in it.
Well, it's easy to train them to be afraid of rain in Texas. They don't see it very often.
It's true.
And when they do see it, all the news says, beware flash floods, turn around, don't drown.
Oh, this is turning into like a child psychology lesson. So how do we teach kids not to be afraid, but to also be prepared? Because when they're hearing, you better grab a jacket because it might rain. Are we teaching them to be prepared, or are we teaching them to be fearful?
That's up to them.
Bum, bum, bum.
That's up to them as the
Oh my
decoder
gosh.
of the.
But I did notice.
What is this podcast about?
When we look through our questions, a lot of them are about fear. You know?
Or preparedness.
Those are the best questions to ask.
Yeah, maybe I'm just seeing these as fear questions. Maybe this is maybe this is just a really curious kid who thinks it's cool.
Maybe we're all survivalists at heart, but we forget that as adults. But as kids, we're all survivalists.
And they're just trying to prep.
It's all
just
epic.
little baby preppers.
Epic little preppers.
Aww. Okay. All right.
Have you ever met a cuddly prepper though? Because my kids are super cuddly.
Yeah. Well, we beat that out of them once they get older. You know.
We
The
train
world
them out
does.
of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No cuddles, just preps. Okay. So what if it rains? You get wet.
Yeah.
That's my answer.
I'll be there with you. We'll clean up. We'll go back to distractions.
It'll be a fun adventure.
Yeah. We'll make up stories.
I say
play
everything's
games.
going to be an adventure, and my kids have definitely caught on to that, and they're like,
Oh, yeah.
that means this is going to be awful." Like, an adventure. You're like,
Well-
nope.
But I think maybe, especially if your kids camp on a regular basis, then they may have maybe some bad experiences about rain. Lindsay, do you remember when we went camping? And I can't tell you where it was. It wasn't very far from here. I arrived late. We were in a tent trailer, and it rained and rained and rained and rained. And all the people in tents around us got washed away. We couldn't leave the island because the bridge got washed out.
To what degree were they washed away?
Well, they weren't like washed down the river,
Oh, okay.
but there was large field animals floating down the river.
I don't remember this
That
at
were
all.
not swimming anymore.
Oh.
It was a flood. It was a
Were
big
you like
flood
at
happening.
And we
Lake
were
or
in
something?
a tent trailer?
We were in a tent trailer. Yeah. And we took the canoe trip.
Oh, the canoe trip where we
from
almost
hell.
died?
Wait, same trip?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all did a canoe trip before or
Yes.
after the flood?
Well, we waited a day for the water
While
to
it
go
was
down.
flooding, obviously.
And then we
I mean,
thought,
I've done that. It's not
of
safe.
course, we had brought a canoe. So
Right.
my husband, who is the forever daredevil, said, yeah, how bad can it be?
Yeah, that's how.
So we jumped
stories-
in 2 canoes and paddled until, and I heard, "Are we there yet?" 100 times.
I'm
Jackie
sure.
was in my canoe.
Were y'all paddling upstream?
No, we weren't, but the water wasn't running really fast.
Yeah.
But it was a long trip, and we finally get to the lake.
Mm-hmm.
When it's dark, it had gotten dark on us
Right.
because we were slower than we thought. And there was so much washout from all the floodwaters. It was the lake was covered in brush and debris
Right.
floating along, and we were like trying to canoe through all this
Right.
brush. Do you remember that?
I mean, I have flashes
Oh,
of
my
it.
gosh.
We would.
So see,
Yeah.
kids don't remember the scary parts
No,
and the
no.
difficult
We
parts.
used
No, I was
to
just
canoe-
so traumatized, I blocked it out.
We used to canoe between Cuero, Texas and Victoria, Texas, almost every summer there in my junior high years and all that. And it would take most of the day. We'd pull off to the side, do picnics and all. We had snakes fall out of trees into our boat and all kinds of stuff. And what a memory. But you're right.
Yeah.
It took a long time and it didn't always go quickly.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I remember the 2 days that we were there camping, and it was off and on raining. We couldn't have a fire. We couldn't
Yeah.
do any of the things we planned,
Right.
but we managed to stay busy, and we were all a muddy mess before it was all over with. But we found ways to entertain ourselves for 2 days on this little sliver of parkland.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I just, it's amazing. We had fun.
Yeah.
But I remember the feeling of, wait, maybe we should be panicking.
Yeah.
And the kids never panicked. So when a kid asks about what if it rains, as long as your answer is positive,
Right.
does it matter what you say? Then we'll play in the rain.
Yeah. I mean,
Right?
and we're in this together kind of stuff. You know, I'm here with you. Yeah.
What's that noise outside?
That is always a tough one.
I'm always torn on what to do. Do I play with this?
I know.
Or-
It's so hard
Do I-
to restrain yourself and be like, That's definitely a bear because you're not asleep and he's going to come eat you.
Let me pull out my phone and show you this man named Freddy Krueger.
No. You
I just show him Chupacabra.
Yeah, this thing's real.
It's outside right now.
I do get because we all know what tent I have, or tent trailer I have. It has canvas sides and all that.
Right.
So we're real close. It's tent camping in a trailer.
Right.
Lots of noises. And it is, let's see if we can guess what it is. Let's work on this together. And, we can flashlight out the window or something like that. But usually we spend a fair bit of time where we're all cuddled up and what have you. And, you know what? I'll bet it's this. What do you think? And we just imagine it. And it's always, we take it in the direction of something more benign than more sinister. No actual Freddy Kruegers, maybe a little Jason, but no.
No.
I like how your answers to your children are very like practical. Mine are very sarcastic, and PJ's just like, how can we distract him? Look, something shiny. Don't worry about that noise.
Well, it's funny is that I have the sarcastic answer just screaming in my head, and I'm trying real hard not to let it out.
But, usually the noises that they hear are, trees rustling or
normal noises that they just don't hear at home because they got walls.
Yes, a branch falling or
However,
anything like that.
If it's nice weather, I open the windows at night at my house so the kids have an open window in their room and they can get those sounds.
Oh, I do that too, like twice a year.
Yeah, it does. It is on average twice a year.
Yeah.
It is Texas.
Two nights a year.
But I also have camped in my driveway enough times in this trailer with tent walls and all.
You're used to the noises.
Get used to the noises and the midnight, the people who come around the neighborhood checking people's car handles to see if they're locked or not. Get to hear those. That's fun.
No.
Yes.
Yes, you've been to my neighborhood. So here's one that is not necessary. So it says, how do we start a fire? But it's more of an expanded one because my kids are asking, yes, how do we start a fire and all that? But how do we find ourselves? It's more of that lost bushcraft stuff that I have an inkling how to do, but they actually ask how to do it, like true backpacker stuff. True adventure stuff.
No, they just say, can we start a fire?
Well, no, my kids don't necessarily say that.
Really?
Yeah, they ask hows and if we're lost in the woods, what do we do and things like that. And I have to admit to them that I was not a Boy Scout. And which
is shocking to me.
We need to figure this kind of stuff out. Let's figure some stuff out. Let's maybe find stuff when we stop driving. Let's tackle one or two of these things and at least get some basics kind of thing. And it actually helps us to come up with the activities.
I think there's something to be said for like when a kid asks a question that you don't exactly know the answer to. You have a few options. Like you could Google it and tell them the answer, or you could Google it and then discuss it with them and figure out how to do it together and then do it together. And then I think that's the difference between like this like constant stream of information or being able to answer any question you have at the tip of your fingertips. So like, yeah, you can, but then if you actually like learn it with them, I think kids have a sense of like feeling cool because they don't know the same thing that you don't know.
Right.
Does that make sense? Like,
exactly.
They get to learn with you, so it doesn't feel like it's just like a parent, telling you this or that. Like, actually, I have no clue.
Right.
I love telling my kids, I don't know.
Right.
Let's figure it out.
And I don't know how often I know that my parents did tell me stuff. I don't know, but sometimes I picked up on sometimes they did know or what have you, and they just wanted to send me to the old encyclopedia collection.
I really loved our encyclopedias. I remember smelling them, and the pages were glossy, and then you'd flip through until you found one with a picture because they didn't all have pictures.
And then you lost the rest of your day because it's an encyclopedia and it's just pouring back into you.
It was really, and essentially it is the same thing as Google. Everybody's Googled something and then you go down a rabbit hole and then you learn this and then you go down that rabbit hole. I mean, it's the same concept, just in your pocket.
Right. And maybe a little bit more dangerous.
But, of course, way more dangerous. But something about telling a kid, I don't know. I'm not like,
Yeah.
I am not smarter than you in this. And I think that's super
What a
empowering
life
to
lesson
kids.
to say, look, as a kid, as a young adult, as an adult, as a experienced adult, as an old adult,
Experienced adult. I am unexperienced.
to be able to model for kids that it's okay to admit that you are ignorant of something, that you are not well versed in something, that you haven't developed a certain set of skills, that you have knowledge of something, but you aren't a practitioner and shouldn't be relied upon.
Yeah, because I think that kids have this idea that like, oh, when I grow up, I'll know everything.
Right.
Oh, when I grow up, I'll be smart and I'll have the answer to all the questions, because that's kind of how we present ourselves as, you know,
It's
big,
it's too
pompous,
dangerously
in
easy.
charge
Right.
people. And so it's kind of cool to be like, nope, no clue.
Right. Precisely.
You can grow up and still learn.
Okay. You seem to have highlighted a bunch of the same ones I did.
Yeah,
on here.
this is actually PJ's. Mine is over there. I only
okay.
got to like 3. But the next one is a question that I hear.
all the time.
And maybe not phrased this way. Are there any bugs here? I'm not sure my kid has ever asked that question. It's more of, what is this bug? Can I touch this bug?
Right.
And I love the AI response here that it gave us. Yes, but most of them are harmless. Just be careful not to touch them. This is not the answer, I would say.
No. You say
I'd be like, cool. What is it? Let's look at
ranch,
it.
add hot sauce.
Let's poke it.
Yeah.
I mean, not poke it. I'm very nice to bugs. Can you grab it with a stick? Yeah, I think that one's okay to touch. Let's Google it.
Yeah.
Ooh, let's hold it.
Oh,
I mean, like, I am dangerous.
One of my favorite things is when you find walking sticks and have a walking stick. Just spend time on your kid, walking out their shoulder, hanging out on their head, and all that. Walking sticks are amazing.
Walking sticks are so cool, or
and so freaky.
When you find roly polies, right? This
that's
this
easy.
thing is
Yeah.
obviously not going to hurt you, but we do make little
Pathways.
raceways,
Yeah.
and then like race our little roly polies.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
And they go back and they report back how many steps they got in the day.
we touch all the bugs. I mean, not
Yeah.
all of them, but don't worry, I'm safe. But seriously, saying don't touch bugs, I'm like, nope, grab them. Let's do this. Let's
Right.
let's hang out with the bugs.
I would venture to say my kids are more timid around bugs than yours.
I
would just venture to guess this.
I am still, I mean, like, no, you know, my son is so anxious, but he
Not
will
with
grab
bugs.
a tarantula off the ground.
Right.
And so will my daughter.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but they ask, can I touch that one? Yeah, that one looks good. Go ahead and grab
Sure.
it.
Sure. Have you found a stink bug yet?
Oh yes, they love stink bugs.
And they haven't
They
had
know
any issue.
They
with them?
know what a stink bug is, so they
Okay.
won't touch it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like they're smart. They've identified like the yes bugs and the no bugs. They even with the caterpillars.
I was going to say fuzzy caterpillars.
Yeah, they know. Well, they know the black fuzzy caterpillars they can pick up.
Yeah.
But they know any other fuzzy caterpillars or colorful caterpillars they can't. So they really just pick up worms and the black caterpillars.
So one of the last campouts I had with my son, we were down near College Station, and they had these really beautiful bugs crawling around, but they were velvet ants.
When they're beautiful, it usually means no touchy.
Right. And someone described it as basically it's a very powerful wasp that doesn't have wings. I was like, oh yeah, just look.
What were they called?
Velvet ant.
Oh, velvet ant?
Yeah. Now that may just be common terms for something.
Maybe we can learn about them on the podcast we're going to do about ants.
Gosh, I
I'm
hope
not
so.
letting go of that podcast idea.
Okay. All right.
Just so you
I spent
know.
a lot of time researching for it, so maybe we can put it together.
I liked
Okay.
it.
What about this question? Can I bring my toys?
Ooh, I've heard this one.
Yeah.
Actually, it's how many toys can I bring?
Yeah. Can I put wheels on my room?
Yeah.
And just drag it?
How many toys can I bring? And again, I think if we're thinking through the mind of a child, can I bring toys doesn't mean, I'm going to have nothing else to do. Or, I mean, it's comfort, right?
Okay. Yep.
I have these things that I like to spend my time playing with,
Right.
and I want them with me because I'm going to a place I don't know.
Okay.
And I think that's a lot of it. So that's when I say, sure, you can bring your 3 favorite toys if they fit inside your backpack.
Yeah.
And then it gives
So you
them
have a
like
backpack tool too. Like
backpack, yeah.
I'm like a backpack. One backpack. They always have extra stuffies though.
Yeah, I do let them carry their stuffies because it's in the car seat, but I have one backpack for both kids.
One backpack for both kids.
Oh, yeah.
Oh no, mine have two.
I mean, it's a normal size backpack. It's not a kid's backpack.
Okay, mine are kids.
But I mean, so yeah, you can bring it if you can fit it in the backpack because I don't know. It's nice to have some comfort if it rains. It's nice to have something to do if it's too cold outside or if you should not have touched that bug and now you guys sit inside.
My son is, it would be nice to have projectiles to throw at my sister's head while she's reading and not paying attention to me.
Well, so what's your toy rule?
It's largely, I don't pay that much attention other than me saying, look, if you don't put things in your backpack, you will be unhappy with my responses when you run out of things.
Yeah.
So make sure you have it packed to the brim, but zippable, closable, and it's in the truck. If it's not in the truck, it does you no good.
Oh, so they have to pack their own backpack in the truck?
They have to get it. They have to get their own stuff.
I love it.
Out there.
I love it.
So yes, toys, fine. I mean, I'm bringing my toys.
This is true.
So.
This is true. I never thought about it like that. We're bringing our, cell phones and whatever. I mean, binoculars, whatever we want to play with while we're camping.
Now, if it's a toy that I have that they think is cool, chances are I have a cheaper breakable version for them.
Yes.
Because you've met my son.
And art stuff.
Yes.
Whenever they say, what toys can I bring or can I bring toys? Like, let's grab as much art stuff as we can.
Now,
because
I'll keep the art type things separate. I don't actually, and we'll bring books for reading at night separate.
Well, yeah.
That's not on them. That's on us.
Yeah.
But
extracurricular toys.
That's right.
There's so much work.
They are.
All right. What's your next one?
Is it okay to feed the animals?
Oh, I don't think my kids have ever asked this.
Yeah. I mean, so it always comes up with squirrels and.
Like, can I give my burger to the squirrels?
Yeah. Things like that.
Ooh.
And the answer in my household is no.
Heck no. What are you thinking, crazy little brat?
There is a history there, however, of peanuts to the ground squirrels or whatnot in Pagosa Springs area.
Oh, so now they have like a memory and they want to.
They have a memory, and it started way back, not with my side, but with Laura's side of the family. They have memories going way back with the grandparents and all that. So it's actually an activity where they have some peanuts along, just for that specific animal. And
has it been ranger approved?
No, and I'm not. And I can't say I'm thrilled about it, but I'm not sure how to break the tradition.
You've gone too far.
Yeah. So
gone too far. Can you remember any time, PJ, when we fed animals while camping? Besides, like the drive-through zoo
the
thingies,
drive-through safari.
Because that was a wild story. But I mean, like Clint was saying, he has
peanuts
tradition where they give peanuts to the squirrels.
What you do is you set them out on a rock and you walk back, and you watch
the squirrel get it.
Yeah.
Did we feed animals?
I think there may have been a time, although I don't remember it, because if there was a sign that said, do not feed the chipmunks, we did not feed the chipmunks.
Mm-hmm. But if there was no sign.
But I can imagine your father putting a potato chip out there just for fun.
Yeah.
Now, we feed grackles all the time.
Yeah.
You can't help but that's Texas. But when it comes to animals, no, heck no.
Just wondering.
Heck no.
Yeah.
Because the last thing you want to do is, first of all, draw them into your campsite.
Right.
If you're feeding them, they won't go away.
Yeah. Now, when I described it, I didn't describe it enough. It's always more like on a hiking trip. You see where they are. You put it on a rock,
and then you watch
walk,
them wait.
Right. And they're fun. They're scurrying around the rocks and all that. But I don't. And like I was telling Lindsay, I don't like it because I'm in my heart of hearts. I am very much a no. You don't feed the wild animals.
Yeah.
And yet there's this longstanding tradition that my wife's family came up through with grandparents and all that, where this was part of the entertainment that you expected on your camping trips.
Yeah, well, you most likely you're not hurting the animals, but
what if they have allergies?
Yeah, they might have a
We do
peanut
not
allergy.
condone feeding animals.
But don't feed
No,
them.
I
That is not the
I
right
agree.
Let's just
thing.
end it
y'all.
with that.
I agree.
Not the right thing to do.
Question number 24 here. This is not on our list, but did you write this one for me? It says,
No.
what happens if I forget my
No,
toothbrush?
that was that.
I have really gross teeth.
I am
That's
the
what
only
happens.
one who would ask that question.
AI knows you were in on
Oh,
this.
dang. I got called
Yeah.
out.
What about this one? The question, because this is a conversation that we have at our campsites or on our hikes, is leave no trace. And that why? Why? The animals are leaving marks. They're pooing all over the place. They're marking the trees. There's a deer rub right there. Why do we have to leave no trace?
Because we don't live here.
Yeah.
You little turd. Is that what you said?
You were dropped here too. You little. Nope, nope.
I think discussing leave no trace with kids is like a really cool introduction to, I don't know, the entire reason why we're camping.
Environmentalism.
The entire reason
Conservation.
why this is fun. And I always just tell my kids, sometimes if they have like an apple core or something, they'll be like,
Nothing more.
and if we're driving, they'll be like, can I throw it out the window? And then they'll have something like a piece of trash. Can I throw it out the window? And so we have to have this conversation of like, if you want everything that you throw out the window or for that everybody throws out the window to be in your room, then you can throw it out the window. Okay. But
Oh, my kids are such collectors. They would.
Oh,
they
no.
Would
They
respond
would
to
collect
that.
all the things.
they'd be like,
bring the-
woohoo.
They bring the worst stuff into my truck and my campsite.
No, I
Don't
just,
most kids rocks and sticks and collect shells?
yeah.
Oh my God.
You want it in your room, then don't put it on the ground because that's the animal's room.
I hate
That's
to
their
bring
room.
my kids here because they'll go through the shop. They'll walk through the shop with me, saying hi to people, and their pockets come back full of the most
little pieces of wire and screws, and
It's all my truck.
that's so funny.
And they go home and they do like they have creative places. They make things. They have big old robots they made out of just recyclable cardboard in my house right now,
Love it.
and probably washers for eyes that they found here.
So is leave no trace difficult for them,
Yes,
or
yes.
is take no trace difficult
That-
for them?
Well, that's just it.
Which is the same thing.
To me, it's the
Yeah.
same discussion, and so it's not that they want to damage a tree or anything like
Right.
that. The biggest problem I have is I try to teach my kids not to do too much rock throwing into still waters, into
That's
ponds and all
hard
that.
Oh man.
because it's so fun,
It's so
and then you're
fun.
just like,
And you know me, I'm
all
a
right,
rock skipper.
We're building a dam here.
Yeah, and we're filling it up. We're
Yeah.
raising the floor. You
Yeah.
know. So at any rate, it's those are the hard ones. But the leave no trace, I think it is a great overall discussion that we should be having with ourselves and our camping community, our family, over and over again.
Yeah, it's a good question for kids. I mean, if kids are not asking that question, it's a good question for them to open that discussion anytime you go camping anyway.
Yeah, yep.
Do we need to worry about snakes?
Turns out we have a podcast on that.
Turns out we always need to worry about snakes.
Yeah.
But like,
What if they're cold? I mean, what do they do with the sleeves on their sweaters?
Aw,
I mean,
Snick.
do they use both of the tube socks?
No, they just need the turtle part of the turtleneck sweater.
We have to worry about this next.
I'm
have to worry about
It's one of those things. Snakes, they give so many of us the heebie-jeebies, and yet I know better now than I knew growing up how beneficial they are and how they're all around, but they're so good at avoiding us. The only times I've had real close encounters with snakes is when I was picking dewberries as a kid, and they're in the bushes. Sometimes the bushes would rattle at you. Or when we were hiking through Palo Duro Canyon, and they were right in the middle of the trail, sunning themselves in the morning sun. Other than that, I typically saw them several feet away, and we were getting away from each other. I try to tell the kids the benefit and how to deal with it.
Or in my garage last week.
Was one in your garage last week?
The fattest rattlesnake you've ever seen.
Missing any pets?
Do you want to see?
How's your
No,
pet fox?
No, but anyway, our pet fox is fine. But I grew up with copperheads.
Yes.
And we saw them all the time
Because
in the
you're
area.
from Houston.
'Cause I'm
where
from
it's
Houston.
The Copperhead
So-
Central.
I learned very young as a kid to simply avoid them and to watch where I stepped.
Yeah.
And I think if you somehow, is it enough to tell a kid, just watch where you're going, watch where you step, and look out for,
And
snakes lay out
Yeah.
in the sun. That's what they do.
because they have to. And unless you have a need to be really quiet, then be loud enough. Ooh, that is a fat snake.
Right?
That thing has taken care of some of the cat population, I can tell.
He's a Freddy.
So I think that that's one of those things is, what we tell ourselves, be aware, watch where you step, and
But you don't wanna scare 'em.
Listen.
yeah, but if you're in your hikes or whatever, and you're making enough noise, like I said, if you don't have a reason to be sneaky, then make enough noise, then they're probably aware of you long beforehand, which is why we don't see them nearly as often.
Is that when you also tell them to make a lot of noise to scare off the
Chupacabra?
Bears?
the mountain lions?
I don't know. Here's the
You
deal.
just bang two sticks together, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to sneak up on a mountain lion.
But it's almost impossible to sneak up on them, and if they're going to trail you, there's nothing you can do about a mountain lion.
Yeah,
It's
but
going to trail you, and you don't know that is there.
they're not. That is not the
It's
normal.
not
Right, but-
normal. You're absolutely right. It is not the normal.
Back to the discussion of like, are we putting fear into them or are we showing them how to be prepared? There is, when you're hiking in Texas, there is a certain level of fear that you have to have because it keeps you like, there might be snakes here, right?
Are you saying that fear can be an asset to our survival?
Whoa, I just came up with this. No one's ever had this idea before. What? Oh my gosh, I'm so smart. Should be a philosopher.
A philosopher.
Yeah.
You guys are so funny.
I think putting fear to rest is one thing, but also developing healthy fear.
Yeah, there's snakes here.
Mm-hmm.
Nope, we're not going to see any snakes. Nope, you
Coyotes,
don't need to worry about them.
Bobcats,
No, there's
mountain lions,
just
black bears are coming back into Texas.
Give them a dose, Clint. Don't mow them down.
I
with
like
it.
to show them in South Texas where I used to water ski. I was like, I water skied right here, and yes, there are alligators.
So here are the 17 animals you might encounter that can hurt you.
Yeah. Mom is number one. Okay. All right. So what else do we have?
I like your additional question, PJ. Why do we have to do this? Why are we doing this? Why do we have to go camping?
You hear that on hikes sometimes.
So what's your answer? Because we have to get back to the campsite, duh.
Because it makes mom happy. Do you remember all that she does for us? She deserves this.
Guilting kids. That's always a good
She
go-to.
deserves this.
The hiking.
Yeah. If there's one thing Laura really, really loves, is a hike.
It's a hike.
It's a hike.
So that's how you answer that question?
Honestly, the most loving thing I can tell her is take a hike.
Aww. You're a very good husband.
Tone matters too, but
Tone always matters, Clint.
Why do we have to do this? I don't know. I haven't encountered this question yet, but I think if somebody asked, or if a kid asked me, why do we have to do this? I would say, let's rephrase it. Why do we get to do this? Huh? We get to do this. How cool is that?
and I have kids who have hiked 6 miles easy and what have you. It kind of is, how are we interacting with them, or are we just leading them down a trail? You know,
then, yeah, why are we doing this?
Ooh, if we were like, ooh, what's that? Ooh, what do you see? Stop, listen. If we do that the whole way, I mean, the distance doesn't matter. But if we're just wanting to be lost in our own thoughts, just a kind of a private hike with people around, that's not good for kids. really.
Unfortunately, yeah, you can't be alone with kids.
That's I think that's a different podcast category.
Definitely. Well, I didn't grow up. I grew up with a little bit of camping, but I did not grow up with hiking.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever I had to hike or do any kind of
It was on your way to school
in the
both
woods
ways?
or something, yeah, I actually did. Yeah, that is a story.
Barefoot.
Yeah,
Snowing
watch for
in the
snakes.
Houston area.
My fear was always, what if I get too tired and everybody else keeps going and I get really tired?
Oh, that is a very
And I have to keep going.
that is a little leg concern, isn't it?
Little people. I mean, they may not be used to
so tired.
all that activity, and they get tired
Yeah.
and hungry. And if you have not seen Lindsay, especially as a child, being tired and hungry,
Oh no, I think it's worse now.
Wait. I've seen Simone.
it is.
Yeah,
it
same.
is
Yeah.
Samesies.
awful. But I remember as a kid, that was my fear. I would get too tired, and then I'd be like, it would be so awful to be out there. So I think kids might be afraid that they don't know what it's going to be like. They don't know how long they're going to have to
Where's
walk.
the end? Yeah.
What's this going to be?
What is the
like?
purpose? Yeah. Why are we doing this?
Why are we doing this? Because my iPad is charged now, so
No, I don't know. My kids don't have iPads.
Yeah, well, a lot of kids do. Though.
Okay.
Most
Smash.
people who might be listening to this podcast and have made it this far will have kids with iPads
Oh, well.
or some type of electronics or something.
It's true. I
So
suppose.
I don't know. I think what do you tell kids? We're going to go look at the trees. We're going to go check out the scenery.
Well, I say, well, you know why I had you bring that shovel along, right? And then they have to wonder the whole time.
We're gonna go find the snakes. It's
Okay.
no, nobody's gonna go camping with us.
Especially kids. Well, you just tell them we're going on an adventure. We're going to go try to find something, right? You just
Yeah.
have to encourage them.
Yeah.
Encourage them.
So I think if I were to say wrap up from my angle is it's going to be kind of too I guess you can't say touchy feely, but it's too warm and cuddly. Is you just got to love them, and you're taking them out there. Hopefully because you love them and you want them to grow and have experiences and
Right.
conversations that you might not have other places, but you can't just get on the way and leave that behind. Focus on, we're doing the trip. Gosh darn it. And you can't get into your campsite and be like, we're here and that's all there is. No, you brought them out here out of love to love them there too. And then if you're hiking and they have anxieties and concern, you can't turn that off. You might actually have to turn it up a dial.
Work through
They're
it.
out of their normal environment, out of their circumstances, away from their people, maybe away from their devices and stuff like that. And if you can stay in the right posture to them, then all these questions are very manageable.
When you think about like when they come back, like what are they going to remember or what are they going to learn from it? These questions are, I mean, the answer to how much they're going to get out of camping. So when they ask all these annoying questions, I don't know, that will kind of help create the memory of the camping trip as a whole when they come back and they tell their teachers and their friends about it, you know?
I think my wrap up from thinking about all these questions is it reminds me that as adults, we live in such a fast paced life. Go, 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 go. We just want to go camping, get away. We have visions of sitting in a lawn chair,
Yeah.
doing nothing, watching the world go by.
Yeah, sipping coffee the
my
whole
vision.
morning
Sipping
and
coffee.
listening to
Yes.
nature. Yeah.
Well, our kids are used to a pretty fast paced life too, but they are not very good at sitting and doing nothing all day. Thank goodness.
Sure.
So you have to have enough events planned to kind of find the balance. and to keep them entertained, keep them going.
Back to distraction.
And then get them. No, you got to have a few things. Squirrel. But if you give kids some time and maybe a little bit of a push, they can go off and they can go gather sticks and leaves and create a fort and make a little path for the little doodle bugs to run through.
Yep.
And then they can, they can gather pine cones, and then they can just do all kinds of things while you're doing nothing, as long as you give them that opportunity. Yeah. I'm always impressed. It just takes a little time.
Yeah, and
for them to acclimate to that pace.
And they'll stumble upon their own activities, like you mentioned. I mean, one of my kids steps in a pile, and suddenly it's a competition. Who can get the most bites?
What?
Not right?
Clint.
Don't do that.
All right, can we wrap this up?
Everyone loses that game. Everyone loses that game.
That's just creepy.
We don't play that game with ants, just mosquitoes.
Well, I'm ready to go camping with kids. I can answer all the questions
But
now.
we can find you some grandkids, rustle them up.
Bet we
Send
can.
them out there.
All right, I'm ready.
So, all right, everybody. If you want to find show notes on this episode, if you want to see what we look like, we can be found all over the interwebs and YouTube. Just look up the name of this podcast, the RV Small Talk Podcast. We are there. And we do things like the Texas Tiny Trailer Rally. Look it up. It is very simple to find. Google it or Facebook it. TexasTinyTrailerRally.com. For you truck campers, we have not left you out. There's an event for you as well. It happens once a year in the spring. Look up the Texas Truck Camper Rally. We will be at these events to schmooze, to hang out, to tell stories, to tell bad jokes, dad jokes, largely the same thing, but deal with it.
Bad dad jokes.
Yeah. And also to pet your dogs, bring them.
Pet your dog.
Anything else you do?
If you happen to be listening on Apple Podcast, you can rate and review us. We always love that.
Mm-hmm. And did you know Spotify doesn't have a review section per se, but they do allow you to do like a star, 1 through 5 stars rating.
Well, we want 5.
We do
right?
want 5, so please.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for listening. It was fun.
We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.